Well, everybody, we're very excited today to have a good friend of ours. We've known him for several years. He's a convocation speaker from Liberty.
Multiple times.
Multiple times. Gonna be multiple
Do you
times.
get a jacket when that happens?
Yeah, it's like the Masters.
We'll see.
You get a green
Let's go,
jacket
Charles. Make it happen.
But he's also a well-known author. I guess you could say blogger, former blogger. But he's just well-known for all the stuff he does. But he also is a very popular corporate speaker, speaks to churches, speaks to everybody. I just love him. He's one of my favorites. So let's welcome Jon Acuff, everybody.
Let's go. Let's go. Good to see you guys.
Let's go. Thank you, Jon, for joining us today, bro.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Well, we're really honored. I mean, your books are amazing. I'm in the middle of soundtracks right now, but you've got several books, and we want to talk about whatever you want to talk about. But sure. I thought, let's start with your story. How on earth did you get started in this world and doing what you're doing?
Sure. Well, I'm a pastor's kid, so that tells you a lot when you say that. That comes with a lot of ideas, a lot of baggage,
a lot of weird stuff.
Just now. So my family moved to Massachusetts. My dad planted a Southern Baptist church outside of Boston in the 80s, which was unheard of at the time. So I grew up as a pastor's kid. And went to school in Birmingham, which was the opposite of Massachusetts. That was a culture shock for certain, and fell in love with writing along the way. And so I was a journalism major. I was writing in advertising. I started a blog called Stuff Christians Like, where I just talked about the funny things we do in faith. And at the time, there weren't a lot of people doing that. It was kind of unusual. I certainly wasn't the first by any means, but it was kind of unusual. And that just took off and it went viral. And, day 9, 4,000 people read it, and friends started sending it to me going, you should read this guy. And I was that guy. And so that just opened up this whole adventure. Got to publish a book. Zondervan published the book, which blew me away that the people who published the Bible let me say some of the silly things I said. Because I mean, the opening line in the book Stuff Christians Like is, if you buy this book, God will make you rich. And the second line is, I was going to say, if you read this book, but you won't get the same blessing if you get it at the library. And so it was so over the top, but it was from a place of, I'm a believer. I love Jesus. So it wasn't attacking. It was saying hey, we're being silly. The way I say it is, I wasn't pointing the mirror at other people. I was standing next to the mirror and going, look at us. Look at us.
Yeah.
And so from there, I started to speak more and corporate stuff. And then Dave Ramsey hired me and brought me to Nashville for a couple years. And then I started my own company about 12 years ago. And along the way, did a bunch of other stuff. Have 2 amazing daughters that are 19 and 21, married for 24 years. So that's an encapsulation of kind of the quick biography.
And you did it all in 1 minute. So when you went to school in Birmingham, you went to Samford, didn't you?
Yeah, I went to Samford. Both my kids go there now. Met my wife there.
That's where I went.
Yeah, we love that.
I thought you knew each other from Samford.
No, I'm much older than him. That was I know what you were doing. That was it. I'm definitely way older than Jon.
That was me. That was kind of mean.
Yeah.
I went there, loved it. As you know, the school's blowing up. It's Nashville. My oldest daughter had 10 people from her high school from Nashville go the year she went. So it's been fun to watch that school become really popular in a city that I live outside of.
Beautiful, beautiful campus. I mean, just gorgeous.
Yeah.
So what was your major at Samford? I'm curious.
I majored in journalism with a focus on advertising. I thought I was going to be a newspaper writer. And you know how you have those moments where random people give you advice? And it just changes the whole shape of your life. My friend's dad, who I'd never met before, said, "Oh, you're going to be a newspaper writer? I hate to tell you, that's over. It's a wrap." He said, the internet, there's this thing called the internet, son.
The World Wide Web.
He's like, that's going to be a very difficult job for you to be like an old school. I'm typewriting my articles. And when he said that, it really kind of shocked me. And I started to go, what type of other writing could I do?
I'm so glad he said that to you.
I might be right now being like, there's a cat in a tree, and they got it out, and fortunately, no shots fired.
In our little town that we live in, our paper, I think, is just about ready to close up. I mean, it's...
Oh, yeah. Well, listen, man, I went kicking and screaming into the digital world because for about 7 or 8 years, my assistant would print out my emails.
Oh, yeah, I get it.
One of the first trips I ever went on with Charles, we get on the plane, and he pulls out of his bag a little manila folder, and it's email. I'm like,
It's like this.
okay, well, maybe, I don't know. Because maybe he didn't have the laptop to bring.
I would hand mine over.
Then he gets a pen, and in the blank space, because the email would take up the top half of the page, there's blank space. Dear John. And he began to write. I'm like, what are you doing?
And I would write it in like long form letter form, because I refuse to go
like John Quincy Adams. I get it. Sure.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. But if we finally all get there, it just takes some of us a little.
What do you still do that's old fashioned? Like right now, what are you still doing that you're like, oh man, I still do this?
Oh, shave. Like,
what do you mean? Like with
a
long razor?
I don't
No, like I have this whole. No, it's not.
I mean, I don't do it personally.
But it's the way I shave. Okay. Like I have this whole long process for shaving.
You have like a straight edge with
20-minute. Yeah. Oh yes.
Oyster
the brush.
Oh.
The badger hair brush. All the stuff.
Funny.
But that's coming. That's actually coming back.
Well,
that's
is.
Like
It's like an old thing that's now back. And I. Shaving is kind of one of my little hobbies that I just enjoy. So I can't wait for my whiskers to grow so I can shave them.
That's fun. Do you travel with it? Because the last time I saw you were in New Hampshire. You didn't have it on you?
No, I have a little kit that's a way quicker, shorter process. Sure. But no, but I'd say that's one of the things I do that's old fashioned. Adam's probably more old fashioned than I am.
Adam, what do you do that's old fashioned?
13 years younger.
I would probably say, so you're near my age, you're a little older. So we probably fall in what they call the Oregon Trail generation. So we were young enough to where digital became kind of normal, but we still have these older tendencies.
Sure.
I carry around a stinking notebook everywhere I go.
The best.
Yeah, everywhere.
The best.
Is that what do you do the same thing, John? You make notes with a pen?
Are you kidding? Look, if you look behind me, people can't see if they're just listening. I have stacks of notebooks. I'll show you right now.
Okay.
I'm going on a trip later today. This is notebook number 8, and it's getting retired at the end of March, so I can start a new one. So when I travel to Fort Myers in about 2 hours, I'm going to bring this one and my plastic ruler to set this thing up exactly the way I want it. I have my own notebook with a company out of Germany. Like I'm a notebook guy.
Yeah, I was getting ready to say segue to product pitch.
Finishjournal.com. Finishjournal.com. You can get one right now.
Really?
Yeah, I love notebooks. I just think here's the thing, Charles. Paper doesn't have Netflix. Paper doesn't have Instagram. Paper doesn't have a million. The entire world is designed for you to not be good at your goals. Like Netflix, the CEO of Netflix in 2017 at the LA Summit said, we are competing with sleep. He said that, like our competition is sleep. So when people are like, it's so weird, I stayed up later than I wanted to. Yeah, because there was $1 billion machine against your focus. And so for me, paper's one of those ways.
And Netflix won last night with me.
Uh-oh.
I was finishing a series called Zero Day. It was really good, by the way. But
you turned me on to the Winston series.
There's a lot of stuff
on Netflix.
But a lot of series.
Go back to, it's called Finished Journal or Finished Journal?
Finished Journal. FINISH. So I spent 3 years with a German company, and we designed a notebook to help people with goals. And it's the best.
I'm gonna get one.
I'm a nerd. I'm a huge nerd at notebooks. So when he showed me a notebook, I was like, that's my language.
Wow. Well, that's part of what Adam does that I really admire about Adam. He's super organized. His thought processes are always intact. Mine are like, just spaghetti on a wall.
Yeah, but Charles, you're an artist. Like, is there anybody who's like, that's weird? That artist was disorganized. I can't put my finger on the reason. Come on, dude. You sing. You sing.
That's true. Well, yeah, maybe that's what it is. But inside, I've got all these ideas going on, but I don't write any of them down.
You've got the most amazing memory, though. They're not written down, but your memory
away, though.
Well, it's great right now.
So, John, have you tried adapting writing onto digital? Because I have tried multiple different ways to go to the iPad Pro or Remarkable.
My wife just got a Remarkable.
And make it work that way. And I still, after 3 or 4 months of doing it, I will grab this guy back off the counter and use it.
I've tested everything. I mean, if you name a system, I've tested every type of notebook. Like I broke up with Moleskine a few years ago for a bunch of geeky, like I found the best notebook manufacturer after testing dozens. And then eventually I posted about them so often. They're like, hey, you want to do a collab, as the kids say? And we did. And so, yeah, for me, like I print out, like I'm writing a new book right now. This is the book. Like this is the editor's notes. I'm holding up a big thick stack of paper. I should do it like radio. I'm doing magic on the radio show, but like this is the next book is, and I print everything out. I don't know how these millennials live without a printer. Like that's crazy. That's crazy town to me. It's easier the other thing is like a big blinking cursor is intimidating and overwhelming. It's like waiting for your next word. A piece of paper is like, you want to scribble, you want to jot, you want to cross something out. Like, let's go for it. Just paper, like no big deal. So for me, the stress of paper is a lot less too.
Wow.
Okay, another old school thing that you do. Sorry, we're friends on Instagram, so I pay attention. Yeah. You do the big calendar thing.
Oh yeah,
you do an analog calendar.
I am a big fan of analog calendar.
Yeah.
So
for me, dude, it's like if I can't see it, it's fiction. Like if I can't see, if somebody says to me, hey, you want to do this a month from now? If I can't see it, it's fiction. And like somebody taught me this rule. They're like, don't say yes to something 6 weeks out unless if it was 2 days from now, you'd rearrange your entire schedule to do it. Because that's what you're doing. So if it's 6 weeks out, like, but we feel like there's a different human that's going to do it. Like one of my soundtracks, you mentioned you're reading soundtracks, Charles, is the person who has to do it later is also me. The person who has to do it later, also me. So if somebody asks me to coffee I don't want to go to, and I go, yeah, I'll do that. And then 4 weeks later, I'm furious I said yes to that. Then I'm still that person.
We call that first Charles and second Charles in this room.
I live that world
that's
right
good, dude. That's good.
Yeah, because first Charles says yes,
he loves
and then
everything.
second Charles is always like, dang it, why did I say I would do? But I love that. Go back to what you said again. If 6 weeks from now,
if it was take that same idea, so somebody asked you to do something 6 weeks from now, 4 weeks from now. Imagine it was 2 days from now, would you rearrange your entire schedule to make it happen? If you wouldn't, that's really what you're doing 6 weeks from now too. You just don't realize it. So like if somebody goes, hey, I want to do this. And then the other thing, Charles, that's helped me, and you guys should take this down for Charles in notebooks. But I decided that there's different levels of different time, meaning there's people I'll talk to on the way to my haircut, or people I'll talk to on the drive to an airport, or people I'll talk to in the airport. I don't do it. It's all or nothing, meaning somebody goes, I'd love to pick your brain. And I go, yeah, how about at 8 a.m. on a Tuesday? No, I don't do anything usually from like 7 a.m. till noon because I'm writing. That's my best, most productive time. I don't give gold time to bronze activities. So if somebody says, hey, I want to pick your brain at 10 a.m. I'm like, absolutely not. That's my best time. I'll go for a walk with you at 4 p.m. on a Tuesday. So you have to treat the calendar as if every hour is different. Every task is different. And so with my assistant, somebody will ask me for advice or whatever, and she'll go, is this an airport situation, or is this you're doing this during like hardcore work hours? I'll be, oh, that's an airport situation. But if it's somebody I'm trying to like I need a favor, I'm trying to learn from, I'll be super flexible then because they're doing me the favor. So if they go, come to my side of town, so you just have to you have to look at your time that way. If you actually, if you want to be high performing, everyone I know that's high performing, if you ask them questions like this, they're always doing 100 things behind the scenes. And if you're humble and will ask them, they'll tell you what they're doing. And they're never casual. They have a lot of fun. They're not over serious, but they are not casual about things that matter. And time's one of the things that matter.
I absolutely love that quote. Don't give gold time to a bronze activity.
That's a takeaway.
We could quit right now.
Clip it. Let's go.
Oh, he told us we had 20 more minutes.
That's right. All right. So let's talk about, first of all, I want to talk about some of your books, but I have a big question in my mind that have been wanting to ask you for a long time, Jon, because I've had a lot of people in my life that have wondering why I haven't written books. And here's my answer, because I don't know what to write on. How do you figure out what to write on for a book because there's so many things. And yet when I start looking at stuff, I look at my life and I go, well, I'm not an expert in that. I'm not an expert in that. Why would I write on that? There's other people in the world that are better experts at that than I am.
Sure, sure. Yeah, I mean, so part of it is just how you talk about it. You call it a book, not the book. People add too much pressure to a thing that already has a lot of pressure. So like when I meet somebody and they go, I'm struggling with my book and I want my book to show my dad that my career choice is okay. I'm like, whoa, hey, that's a lot of pressure on something that's already difficult. Make it as easy. I love to make things as easy as possible. So if you say you sat down and were like, John, I want you to coach me through the book writing process, I would try to figure out what's the easiest form of creativity for you. And maybe it is an interview situation where you have a friend you trust, sit down and go, Charles, I've heard you tell these 10 stories over and over again. Would you tell me these stories again? And you tape it and you transcribe it. And now you've got an outline already. Now you've got a starting place. People shouldn't just sit down with a blank piece of paper. So for me, the best definition of creativity I've ever heard is Dorothy Parker said, creativity is a wild mind and a disciplined eye. So the wild is you collect ideas. You're collecting ideas from everywhere. You're writing down a Bible verse. You're writing down something somebody said. You're writing down a song lyric, something your kid said. It's wild. Your mind is wild. And then you have the discipline to see the connections between them in a way that nobody else ever has before. And you connect them. And so the first step of writing a book, or probably in my opinion, writing an album, writing a speech, is collect a bunch of ideas. People don't have writer's block. They have idea bankruptcy. They're bankrupt of ideas. So I never sit down with a blank piece of paper. That's intimidating. I sit down and I collect a bunch of ideas and a bunch of ideas. And then I go, okay, which of these ideas in this audition is really stepping up? Like who's going to step up? Like who's going to, and then I'll write some about it. So for you, I would do that. And I would say the only way to write your book is to write, especially a first book, is your story. Like if you told me, John, I'm going to write a book about AI, I'd be like, no. You're not an expert in that. But if you were like, I'm going to write a book about how to have a long-term creative career where you follow your heart, but you still have a family and you still like, you're not in a gutter, like with some artistic dream. Like you've done a very deliberate thing over a long, like sustainably in a very difficult industry that doesn't produce a lot of sustainable success. So I'd probably go, okay, Charles, if you were going to speak to the next generation about how you did what you did, what would that look like? And then like, now you've got a framework. Now you've got something you feel comfortable about. And then it's just a matter of collecting enough ideas. And then you organize them into chapters. And you go, oh man, this is, I like 50 of these ideas are all about this topic. Whoa. And then there's this other topic that only has 2 ideas. Maybe I don't care about that idea. But this one just became 3 chapters. That's the process. The process is fun. It's hard. Writing books is very hard for me. But for me, I've figured out some things that make it easier and the work is worth it. I read a book called ADHD 2.0 and it said you have to find the right kind of difficult. Like what's your right kind of difficult? For me, a 1,000-hour book writing project is the right kind of difficult. It keeps me really engaged. I'm able to help a ton of people. So that's why I write books. Yeah.
Do you ever collaborate on with books with other authors, or is you like to more freelance it?
Well, I collaborated. My daughters and I wrote 2 books together that were for teenagers and like college age students. So I did a collaboration there. And now we're talking about, would I ever do a soundtracks book for a specific industry? So let's say that there's people and they're like a lot, like we're doing this event in April called Remarkable You, and 35% of the people coming are real estate agents. Like that's amazing. So would I ever do a soundtracks for real estate agents where I partnered with somebody who is an expert in that, and we listed out, these are specific soundtracks you need if you're a realtor? Like, cool, that'd be fun. So I haven't done it other than with my daughters, but I'm definitely open to the idea. I think it's a fun way to create something.
So one of the things that you've been able to do in a few books is you work on studies that give you statistics related to
a lot of research.
Yeah, the research you're doing. So what's without giving it away, because you got a big fat stack of the new book there, but what's a most recent study that you've done in your research that kind of blew your mind a little bit?
Well, I mean, part of it, so the new book's about procrastination, And I think one of the things that was interesting.
I may wait to read that.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Sorry, that was just too easy.
No, dude, I do a joke where I ask the audience, I go, any procrastinators here? And I pause. I'm like, you can tell me later. And so I do this. Yeah, dude, totally. I'm not above a dad joke, Charles. I'm not.
Nice.
Like,
he's the king. He's the king.
You're old. Like, this is one of those, like, you think you're a certain age and then you find out you're old. I was on a podcast with this young woman and I thought we were peers. And she said in the middle of the podcast, you know what one of my favorite things is about you? Your dad jokes. And I was like, oh, like I just think of them as jokes. But she was saying they're like, jokes. And she was young enough to know that's not a compliment. She thought that, oh, like I love your dad joke. I was like, dude, nothing you add dad to gets better. Dad bod, nope. Dad jokes, nope. Dad shoes, nope.
Nope.
So, yeah. So for me, but yeah. So what was surprising in that that book is how many people procrastinate out of ego. That kind of caught me off guard. Meaning, I shouldn't have to do this thing. I shouldn't have to do this. And you go, wow. Well, then who should? Like, and I would say the other thing was that procrastination isn't a laziness problem. It's really not because you're lazy. Like some of the people I know that are hardest working would self-identify as procrastinators. And so those are two things that I thought were really interesting. Like, oh, that I hadn't thought about that. And then we just did a study for people that are coming to our event. I was surprised how many people, the number one thing they wanted me to do next was create a mastermind, which to me is like, there's a lot of people that are looking for community. Like our world is so kind of disjointed and there's a lot of people going, hey, I like the way you think. I like the way you work. Could you do a small group setting of that? That's interesting to me. So I'm going to try to figure that out.
Go back. I don't know what you mean by that. What do you mean by create a mastermind?
I'll let him explain it.
Yeah. So a small group of people, like a mastermind, something I would do would be for 6 months, me and 11 other people or 12 other people, all get together every 2 weeks, probably. Weekly is probably too much for high performing people, but like every 2 weeks, I teach for 20 minutes and we talk for 40 minutes. And maybe we do a hot seat where somebody goes, I got a problem I'm working on. Can I get the collective group to do that? And you find masterminds. I would say, Charles, one thing that we as Christians, we don't understand this. Outside of the church, there's not small groups of people getting together to talk about things. They're just not. So like I've launched books for both audiences. I write business books now. There's a couple book clubs, but it's not massive like small groups. Like when somebody makes a small group curriculum, that's amazing because churches have that model. Outside of the church, there's not a lot of deliberate get together, walk through life. Like your friends who don't go to church, who don't know Jesus, you've never heard them go, yeah, we get together with 6 other couples every other week and we just talk about parenting. Like you'd be like, what? Who does that? Like that only happens in the church. So a mastermind is kind of a business version of that.
C.S. Lewis and J.R. Tolkien and these guys would get together at the Eagle and the Child and when they were at Oxford together. And that's kind of what you're talking about. They would share their ideas, explore things that they're learning together. And it's a little bit deeper than just a friendship. It's an actual walking through life together.
And you have to trust the people. You have to trust them. And then the other thing is that when you decide to be remarkable or excellent or whatever word you want to use, it's a lonely endeavor because to do something remarkable means to not be usual. Like you're not common. And so like you pretty quickly find out like Charles, you've had that in your career. Like I guarantee there's been times in your career where you explained what you do to a neighbor and they were baffled. They were like, wait, what? Like, what were you doing in New Hampshire?
You could start with my father-in-law. He still couldn't believe that I was actually making a living singing.
100%. So like, imagine you had a group of, and you do this casually, like it happens in green rooms, it happens on buses, whatever. But imagine if you had 7 other musicians or 10 other musicians that when COVID happened, you have a group that goes, man, these virtual events are brutal, dude. You're singing into a Zoom. Like it's so hard, like that would lift you up. You wouldn't feel as isolated. And then like some other musician would say, hey, I just did this thing with Facebook ads. It worked really well. And now you get to skip the 6-month learning process because they just thought like that to me is the power of a mastermind.
Wow. So let's talk about some books. I don't want to run out of time too fast, but
please.
Let's start with we talked a little bit about Stuff Christians Like, which was really your first release, right?
Yeah.
As a book goes. But what if we jump to the book Quitter? Talk to us about what that was. That your second book?
It was my third book.
Third book.
But it was the book I wrote it was the transition book for me between like satire, funny, and now it's like, hey, I can use humor on a serious topic. Like that's my thing. Like I use humor on serious topics because it's fun. It amplifies the truth. It makes it easy to understand. It differentiates.
Was that your first book? Was it your first book that you aimed towards the business world?
100%. 100%. Big shift. That I jumped. They say, the phrase is I jumped shelves. So I jumped from like Christian living to self-development or self-help or personal development business. So like jumped parts of the bookstore.
And which is not only brilliant, but it opened you up to a whole new audience of people who are actually hearing the truth of the gospel by way of principles that are biblical, but you're giving it to them in a very practical way that actually helps their business.
Yeah. And that's what I enjoy doing. I really do. And somebody asked me that one day. They're like, hey, what's the difference between talking to, say, a group of Range Rover dealership owners to mom bloggers to firemen, whatever? And I said, there's not a difference if you speak to the heart. Like if you can figure out that every room is made of human, and if I can find that, then I can take the topic to a variety of places. Like yesterday, I was in Orlando and I spoke to 750 of the top roofing companies in the country at an Owens Corning event. And then today I'm flying down to Marco Island, and tomorrow I'll speak to YWAM, so Youth with a Mission, like their Orlando organization. So I'm able to go between different audiences because if I figure out, oh man, everybody struggles with overthinking. That's not this type of person or that type of person. Like everybody does. Okay, so how do I talk to that in this setting? What does overthinking look like if you're a realtor? What does overthinking look like if you're, a worship leader? What is it? And so if I can find the human side, then I get to talk to a lot of different audiences. And I find that really challenging and really fun.
Which incidentally is what the book Soundtracks is about.
Yeah.
This issue of overthinking. So while we're there, why don't we just go there? Define for us what this issue of overthinking is.
Yeah. So I define overthinking as when what you think gets in the way of what you want. So you see the goal, you see the hope, I want to ask that person out. I want to start a business. I want to write a book. I want to lose 10 pounds, whatever. And then all this extra thought gets in the way and holds you back from doing the thing you want to do. So the premise of the book is you can turn overthinking from a super problem into a superpower. It's not that you stop thinking. Why would you ever turn off this gift we've got? It's that what if you could take all these extra thoughts and actually make them work for you, not against you? So when I meet an overthinker, I'm excited for them, especially if they overthink a lot, because I go, oh, you just wait until we turn all that poison into vitamins. Like you're sitting on a gold mine of possibility. We just need to switch it. Like we just need to, it's kind of that idea of like, the way I say it is if you can worry, you can wonder. Like if you can spin, you can
write it down.
I'm writing it down. I'm putting it on my journal.
There you go.
My digital journal.
Yeah. So that's what if you can doubt, you can dominate, or if you can doubt, you can dare. And so it's like the same brain that is really amazing. The problem is worry is just a misuse of imagination. Like you're really great at imagining terrible things are going to happen versus using that same imagination to create those things.
Oh, that's great.
And so like that gives people a lot of freedom because then they don't wake up and go, oh, I've got all these thoughts. I still have all these thoughts. They go, ooh, I got all these thoughts. What am I going to do with them? Like where am I going to apply them? Like, let's go. That's really fun.
Yeah. I mean, when I look at other people and things they've accomplished, I used to think, oh, I could never do that. But honestly, my mindset now is, well, if they can do it, I can do it.
Oh yeah. 100%. 100%. Yeah. Well, and
Charles,
you've been in the same room I've been in where like you meet some of your heroes and realize they're just as insecure and they're just as like, they're making it up too. Like you ever meet somebody that you think has a program or a plan or a system and you interact with them, you're like, oh, this guy doesn't know what he's doing either.
He's as close as I am.
Yeah, he's as close as I am. And then like,
he's asking you questions.
Yeah, he's asking you for feedback. He's like, Charles, man, how'd you do that? And you're like, no, you're supposed to be the guru.
Yeah, you're like, the big dog.
Yeah.
But that's interesting though, because when you meet successful people, you find out they're always asking questions.
Oh yeah.
Successful people they want to know from you something that they probably don't know, whether or not you're farther along or not. It's kind of interesting.
Oh, my soundtrack for that is every conversation is a classroom. Every conversation is a classroom. So if I go in with that attitude, I can ask somebody, like, I'll tell you two things I learned recently that are, just funny to me. One was a real estate agent told me his move is that when he sells a house, he goes and knocks on every door in the neighborhood and says, "Hey, I'm putting together a welcome basket for the Johnsons. They just moved from California. They got 2 kids. They're going to be down at this elementary school. Do you mind signing this card for them? I'm putting together a welcome basket for them." And of course, everybody he knocks on the door goes, "Man, what a great agent. He really cares about his people. My agent didn't do that. Come on in. What'd you sell their house for? What was and it crushes his business."
Now he's got to sell every house in that neighborhood.
Dude, it's brilliant. The second thing, another real estate agent, because real estate agents, the good ones, are hustling. His favorite thing is when a young person goes, "I want to pick your brain," or "I'd love to be part of your team." He gives them a book called Ninja Selling. It's his favorite book. And he goes, "Hey, this is my favorite book. It's like my Bible. And I'd love you to read it." And on page 51, he's written his cell phone number. And if they never call him, they didn't even make it to page 51, and he won't hire them. It's such a brilliant. So like what you have to know is smart, successful people have filters, and they're constantly filtering you out. If you go, it's kind of like my father-in-law told me this. If somebody wanted him to, like, "I want to get into, development." He was a developer. He'd go, "Yeah, let's meet at 6 a.m. in Atlanta for breakfast." And if they'd go, "It's the wrong side of town for me," or "the traffic's going to be bad," or "I don't like to get up that early," he knew they weren't going to take any of the other advice. So there's no point.
Right.
And so I tell young people all the time, especially young people, like Liberty, like say I was at a convo, for instance, I would encourage them.
Nice.
This is the greatest time in the world to change your life and build your life, because adults will help you. If a 24-year-old just the other day to me said, "Hey, what book should I read?" I told him which books. We've been going back and forth. I've been encouraging him. If a 48-year-old does, I'm like, "You'll figure it out. You're fine. You're an adult." We like to help young, hungry people. If you're young and hungry, adults can't help you enough. And then the other thing for young people that I'm real hot on right now is like, don't lean into work-life balance. Your 20s are not meant for work-life balance. Those are building years. That is a building decade. You should be going and going and going and going and going.
Thank you.
The problem is men, especially men, like in their late 40s, in my opinion right now, have confused burnout, but it's actually boredom. They're not burned out, meaning they've given their all. They've done everything they can. They've left it all on the table. They're actually very bored. And if you have 10 gears, they're at gear 3. And I'm going, no. And our culture has so swung from like workaholism to like rest that I know a lot of men that aren't living full, passionate, engaged, like all in lives. And so then they preach work-life balance to a 24-year-old, and the 24-year-old goes, "Yeah, I got to get more work-life balance." No, you don't. Like, go.
Yeah, this is time to go. And by the way, for those 24-year-olds listening, if you ask a guy like Jon Acuff out to breakfast or coffee, and he decides you're worth his time to go, stinking buy his coffee and his breakfast for crying out loud.
Whatever time he says, whatever he says.
No, if a 24-year-old did that, we're going on a walk. We're going on a walk at 4 p.m. Let's go, like, outside. Whenever somebody goes, "I'll buy your own coffee," I'm like, "I got coffee. I got my own coffee."
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, "Let's go." But like, Charles, let's just do that then. If somebody says to me, "Hey, I'd love to get some advice," and I suggest they read a book, and then they email me and say, "Hey, here's the 5 things I learned. Do you have another book?" I want to invest in that person. If I go read this book and they never read the book, I'm not going to tell you anything else, because you're not going to do it. Like, I already know. And so like, for me, again, when you're around high performers, they are asking questions. They are like, when I was with Craig, like I had breakfast with Craig Rochelle a couple of months ago. I asked him like 100 questions, because I'm no longer impressed by leaders that have a big church for a year, or a YouTube channel that pops off, or one book or one album. I'm impressed by people who have built a multi-decade sustainable, they haven't blown up their life with drugs or alcohol or affairs or power or abuse, whatever. And they've got a long-term sustain. That's the man or woman I want to go like, "Oh, what are they doing? And how are they doing it?" And when I get around them, I try to be humble enough to ask them those questions.
It's fantastic. Man, we're almost out of time. And what do you want to ask?
Come on, Adam.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I have something.
All right,
yeah, let's go. Let's go.
Okay,
I talked a lot.
So,
This is great. So I want to know, because great, smart, industrious people like yourself who give great advice, who are mentoring others, you were mentored by. So who were your best mentors, and what did you pull from them? And I know that's a big question, but I love to know who mentored you and what did you learn from them?
Yeah, I mean, I've been really blessed to have a dad that's active in my life. You know, I still talk to my dad a few times a week. I don't want to ever assume that's what everybody has, because I think a lot of people don't have that. So I feel very fortunate that I do have that. I mean, my dad, I remember he told me one time, keep people around you who will tell you the truth that aren't on your payroll. And what he meant was, if the people are making their living based on you, they'll tell you truth right up until their mortgage. They'll pull back. They'll always go like, yeah, I kind of want to be able to eat this month, so I'm going to give them slightly less. So that was a great lesson. My father-in-law, I've been really fortunate to have a great father-in-law who's poured into me. And then it was just like living in Atlanta when we did, I used to spend a lot of time with Dan Cathy, the CEO of Chick-fil-A. And so like,
wonderful man.
I would, just real deal. And like, he taught me a ton, but he also blew up some broken soundtracks for me. I had a broken soundtrack, and I think a lot of believers do, about success and Jesus and the church. And like, we could do a whole episode on that. But man, do Christians think God wants them to be miserable and poor and unsuccessful? Like, it's the whole like, well, Jesus rode a donkey. Like, so maybe like I had a musician in Nashville tell me this, Charles. He said, if you buy a $75,000 BMW, people go, man, that is so wasteful. Like, you could have given all that money to the poor, which, by the way, is pretty much what Judas said. But then if you buy a $75,000 Suburban, they go, that's a great family car, building a family.
Exactly.
Same exact money, different perception.
Yep.
And so for me, seeing Dan Cathy, who's a multi-billionaire, who's still crazy about Jesus, who does amazing work with the money, who is really, really successful, changed my understanding of, oh, God built me to run. Like, God, I want to be the double the steward, like double the talents guy. Like, I love that parable, because the landowner who represents God gives them each their talents based on their ability. And then they don't, it says they immediately put it to work. They didn't go, you know what, I'm going to pray about this for like 6 months and then maybe I'll get good at what I do. Like, no, they already had a system. They already were like, yeah, let's do it. They doubled it. There was a party when they doubled it. So I'm always trying to, like, right now, you know, live that out and go, how do I be as successful as God allows me to be? How do I steward that? How do I honor that? How do I not self-sabotage out of some broken version of Christianity where God's upset if I use the gifts he's given me? Like, that doesn't make any sense. So like Dan Cathy, but yeah, I've just had a whole host of people that are ahead of me. Here's the way I look at it. A mentor is a time machine. They've been to the future you want to get to. And if you'll ask them, they'll tell you how they got there. So they're 10 years ahead of me. Kerry Newhoff's a mentor. He's 10 years ahead of me. There's so many people that I go, and the cool thing is they can even be younger if they're ahead of you in a thing you're trying to do. I'm not good at video. There's guys in their late 20s that are better than me at video and social media and a bunch of other stuff. So then if I'm humble, then I can ask them and go, dude, I don't know what I'm doing in this section of technology. What are you doing? And they could be 25, but they've spent 6 years building a TikTok platform. I don't know about that. And so if I'll say as a soon to be 50-year-old, like, hey, I don't know, like, what do I need to do? I get to learn in that situation too.
So shifting gears.
Yeah.
You're a self-diagnosed goal nerd. How much time a day do you spend on your goals? Not like performing them, but like reviewing and marking them and staying on track.
Dude, love these questions. So in July of 2023, I was reading Proverbs and it was talking about the value of wisdom. And though it cost everything, get it. And I realized, okay, what would wisdom cost me? It cost me time, money, relationships, a bunch of different things. And then I looked at my calendar and I couldn't see where I was spending time getting wisdom. So I decided then I'm going to write down every hour that I'm actively engaged in being remarkable, gaining wisdom. And I've done that since then. I think I'm at like 2,400 hours since. And so I would say on average, and I write them all down. Like, you talk about goal nerd. This is the current sheet. Like, you can just,
you're
right
so
now,
clean
I'm
too.
up,
Look how neat.
yeah, Fresh and clean. And just writing down hash marks. And so my goal there is I figured out if I do, I think it's like 1,688 a year in 10 years, in 6 years, I'll hit that 10,000 hour mark. So I just said, I'm going to, once I'd done it a couple months, I was like, ooh, and then guess this is crazy. I started making better decisions. So all I did was make a list of activities that I thought were wise uses of my time. So exercise, that's a wise use. Reading the Bible, that's a wise use. Writing, that's a wise use. You know, so I just made a list and then I just started collecting the hours and then it just gets really, really fun. Because again, you start to see the fruit. Like you start.
So you mean the more wisdom you get, the better decisions you make?
It's crazy. I invented that.
My mind's blown.
Yeah, you really you're onto something there, John.
But see, who
you
does
really
it?
are.
Like that's the other thing is
That's
like
true.
people go like, oh, I do that, and you're like, well, so like. For me, I always joke, like when somebody tells me they're too busy, but then they suggest 17 shows I should watch. I'm like, yeah, you're not that busy. Like, and when somebody goes like, you got to watch this new show. It only takes 19 episodes to get into. Once you get through the first 19, it's really good. I'm like, dude, what? Like, so
I like miniseries.
Yeah. Here's the thing. I didn't stop watching as much TV or start getting up early just because. Like nobody changes their life just because. Nobody goes, today I'll have discipline. Today I'll have persistence or grit, whatever. What happens is you find something you want more than what you currently have. So I started that blog that we started this conversation with all those years ago. And I realized I loved blogging. I loved writing. So then I just thought of my hours as logs and I wanted to throw as many of those into the fire as possible. So I didn't start getting up early because I was disciplined. I started getting up early because I had 2 kids under the age of 4. It was the only time I could write. And then I didn't stop watching TV because I was disciplined. I just stopped watching as much because it was giving me nothing. Like TV was giving me nothing. Writing was giving me so much. So then that shifted my perspective. So like you don't have discipline and then get a goal. The goal gives you discipline. Like in the same way that like, Charles, you couldn't quit singing if you wanted to. Like that would be absurd to you. Like you love that so much. It's such a part of who you are that you don't, there's other parts of your life you have to convince yourself to do that aren't in that space. Cause an adult, you have to do a lot of things you don't want to do. But like singing, like even I guarantee nobody likes canceled flights or delayed flights or anything like that. But you can tell you love something based on how much inconvenience you'll put up with. So like you'll put up with a lot of inconvenience, Charles, to sing to a live audience. Like I just know you will, because so will I. Like if somebody goes, hey, you're gonna go sing in New Hampshire, we're gonna do this event, and you go, what airport is it near? Like, not near airports. I mean, the state has them.
So I gotta land and drive 2 hours. And,
and you're like, and you're like, but dude, you and I both love that event. Like we had a great time. Like that. And the people there were amazing. And I love TC and I love Megan and I love Phil. But like, I couldn't wait to do that. So you found something you love based on the amount of inconvenience you're willing to put up with. And for me, that's writing, it's speaking. For you, it's singing. So that's how I look at it.
Yeah, I mean, everywhere I go, I'll travel for 2 days to sing for 20 minutes.
Exactly. And you're like, I didn't know Oklahoma had this town. And you're like... You know, like, and dude, the event stories you and I could tell. Like, I did an event once at like a Ramada in January in Illinois. It was terrible weather, and the guy, it was a 3-hour talk, 2 90-minute segments, and the sound guy goes, "I forgot the clicker at home," and I was like, "Well, how far is home?" So I had to say next slide like 240 times. Like, it was brutal, but I was like. Yeah, I didn't care. I was like, I'm doing the thing I love. Like, I don't care if there's 20 people here, there's 7 people here. Like, you do that because it's the thing you feel designed to do. Yeah. And that changes your perspective.
And it's in that one little moment. I flew to California on 2 different occasions to do one song. So I flew, from 10, 11 hours each, 6 hours each way.
6 hours.
Well, over that when you start, but from Lynchburg. But
layover,
for a 5-minute moment. And it's like, but at the same time, in those 5 minutes, you're doing exactly what you were made to do.
It's the best. It's the best.
Yeah, it really is. And you know what, John?
Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, you are doing exactly what you were made to do. And I know we kept you too long as it is, but I got to tell you, man, you're the best. Would you ever consider coming on with us again sometime?
I
when the
think
next
we should
book
do it
comes out?
live. I think we should do it live when I'm in town for anything else.
yeah.
Like if I'm just
everything.
hypothetically speaking, if I happen to be in like Lynchburg for another engagement,
that could be the deal where he has to do the podcast when you get him a next gig.
Well,
Yeah,
you know
yeah,
what?
yeah.
We're going to get you back to Convo. They loved you the first time, so we're having you back. And when you do, we'll sit down in the studio and
Right
do a
here.
live podcast.
that'd be
Absolutely.
fun. Yeah, that'd be fun with lots of time. And yeah, I would like that.
Incidentally, do you have a release date for your next book yet?
Oh, it won't come out until next April 2026. So you know
Perfect.
how publishing
Okay.
is. Publishing is usually about a 12-month
Yeah.
turnaround. So I'll start.
Well, it
writing
takes a
the
while
new
to
one.
print. It takes a while to print all those pages.
Well, and the good
They
news
carve
is-
them out of trees.
That's the good news is this gives all of you listening chance to read every one of his other books first.
Yeah,
So download every one of them. You will not be
Soundtracks,
disappointed. I promise you.
Start with
Soundtracks is probably
Yeah.
top 5 books I've read in the last 5 years.
Yeah,
Wow.
just
I
awesome.
appreciate that.
It's
That's awesome.
Yeah, man. I
Yeah, it
mean,
really is.
I have the affirmations that you end with, like I write them down.
Oh, nice.
So,
Nice. I use them in
fantastic.
my own life. That's how I knew it. Like
Yeah.
for me, again, I said a couple today. Like another one of mine is I'll feel awesome after. Because if I think about the hard start to running, it's going to be cold. I'm not going to feel good, whatever. I won't do it. But if I think about the after of I'm walking home, I finished it, the Strava numbers are adding up, I get a shower, I get endorphins. Like, so whether it's business deals or difficult conversations, I'll say, I'll feel awesome after. I'll feel awesome after. I dream about the after in Technicolor and the start in black and white. I don't even think about the start because the start is hard. And so that's kind of another one of those. That's why I knew soundtracks would work as a concept, is because it had already changed my life a lot.
It's great.
Fantastic. Thank you, John. We love
Thanks
you,
for
man.
having me, guys.
Safe travels, and we'll see you soon.
Thanks, John.
Alrighty.
See you, man.